Well, hello. Hey, everybody.
Hey, what's
Colin,
happening?
great to see you. How have you been? It's been way too long, my friend.
It's been fantastic. Good to see you too. As always, you've had a interesting few weeks to say the least.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Tennessee was an interesting experience. And
Yeah,
as I was telling you off air, I felt like I was stuck in a Jason Bourne film for a minute
right.
with all
Yeah,
the stuff that was going on. Earthquakes, crazy people stealing stuff from secret laboratories and then going
yeah.
on a rampage. Luckily, they got the bad guy. Everybody's okay. It was kind of weird, though, being out there in that earthquake in Tennessee because that's not normal out there.
No, it's not. Yeah. If you were in California or a few other states, that'd be normal, but not in Tennessee.
A 4.1 would be just another walk in the park for
Yeah, exactly.
California.
No one would even flinch if you had a 4.1 here in California. So, well, it was good to see you. Lots happening. Obviously, it's been a busy year for finance, for metals, for everything going on. Gold's been the talk of the town. So I'm happy to have you talk about a few things happening in the news and kind of diving right in. So
Yeah, let's do that because I'm out in Tennessee and it's amazing how many people out there were into gold and silver and coins.
yeah, right.
Like it's huge out there. And I mean, it's not a local phenomenon, folks. Everywhere and everybody's talking about it. And there's a reason people are talking about it. And one of the things that I wanted to mention, just like hot off the press, this is literally right off the press. So headlines: Trump says Russia and Ukraine to immediately start ceasefire negotiations after a 2-hour call with Putin.
Oh, that just happened?
That literally just happened. So I clicked on the link and they already.
Oh, he cut out. Uh-oh, we lost you.
Zelensky says the U.S. should not distance itself from talks as Russia says no. Timeline agreed. So we're getting some conflicting reports. I find that.
Wait, hold on. Let's stop. Let's get back to this. So wait, who announced that there was a ceasefire?
BBC News. BBC News. It's headline. This is literally what it says per verbatim. Trump says Russia and Ukraine to immediately start ceasefire negotiations after a 2-hour call with Putin. I'm like, wow, that's a pretty big deal.
Right.
So then when you click on it, it's Zelensky says that the U.S. should not distance itself from talks as Russia says no timeline agreement. So we're getting conflicting stories here. And with what recently took place in Pakistan and India, there were some concerns about possibly nuclear launches being, one side or the other. And then Iran is saying that, or Iran is basically, they warned that U.S. nuclear talks will fail if the enrichment demand stands. So we're saying no more enrichment. And they're saying, we're going to enrich as much uranium as we want. And so there's a lot of stress and turmoil in the air. And I wanted to get like your take on that, because it seems to kind of go hand in hand with the economy, the world economy. It appears that it's reaching limits of growth. And I'm wondering if this, if there's a global war, what kind of effect is that going to have on the economy? What kind of effect is that going to have on the limits of growth? But there's just so much to talk about. I want to get your thoughts on everything that I just said, but how is this affecting the world economy? And thank you for being here.
No, absolutely. Ryan, just checked it. It says, is my mic muted? My mic's not muted there.
I can hear you. You're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I think that, anytime you have a potential war, I mean, first of all, the India and Pakistan going to war would be catastrophic. I mean, they've been able to avoid this for a long time, obviously fighting over Kashmir and different things that are happening there. But ultimately, what typically happens in these scenarios is you see a flight to safety move, and people dive into safe haven investments. It spooks the stock market. It spooks the markets in general, and people don't like that. They want to know what their trajectory is for the markets. And this year already has been quite an explosive year for the markets. So I do think people are concerned. And I mean, if you look at this chart, we have a chart up here talking about the world economy. It does seem like the world economy is getting very near to potentially stagflation. And we may have hit the amount that we can sort of do just in terms of an economy. It seems to be there's just a global slowdown overall in the economy in general. And I think that's why a lot of investors are concerned about different things that are happening out there. I don't think, it's not as easy as it was 20, 30 years ago to see that kind of growth. Obviously, AI is playing a function in that. But yeah, if you look at this chart, this is where our world economy is. And a lot of experts believe that we have a 20-year potential crisis in terms of the economy, the stock market, just output in general. We've seen our growth slow down tremendously this year. And, that's why, you see this administration really trying to figure out in the United States, they're really trying to figure out what's the best course of action. They've taken a hard stand on tariffs. They're trying to bring more manufacturing here. And they've really tried to create an environment where we're more reliant, less reliant on trade. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact, the idea of this big slowdown in the world and getting away from any risks of having to trade and barter with other places in the world. It makes you more secure as economy. And that's why they've sort of taken this hard stance on tariffs and doing different things that have in the short term have really stunted our economy. But ultimately, the idea is this the safer play for us long term to be able to move away from being so reliant on China and in many of these other places of the world is we want to move away from that. So that's something that we've started to see more and more of. What are your thoughts on that, Rex?
Well, thank you for asking. So the tariff situation that's been going on, I'll give you two examples that it's actually affected me personally with the tariff. So the other day I mailed just an envelope to Canada, and I had to pay $18 extra for tariffs to mail an envelope to Canada. That was, yeah. And then a couple of months ago, I saw this really cool bicycle that was like one of the pros was riding it, and it was like a $10,000 bike, and it was on sale for like 20. Well, they wanted 3,500. I made an offer of 2,500 that I didn't think they would take, and they took it. And I'm like, yes, but then they're like, oh, by the way, you're going to have to pay 38% tariffs on top of the tax. And I'm like, I'll pass. I'm good. So like definitely causing some, cause and effect with the tariffs. Yeah. But it seems like there's a rhyme for the reason now. Like it appears that some of the, like China, didn't they recently come to the table and say, let's talk, let's work things out? Yeah.
They've done a tentative agreement that they're going to negotiate a permanent agreement over the next 60 days. And that temporarily, boosted the stock market again. But I think that, these deals and these potential deals and so many people like you that are thinking about buying anything are pausing. And so I think things have looked okay in that first quarter of the year because a lot of people were just buying stuff before the tariffs really hit. But I think that when we look at the second quarter numbers, we're going to see a pretty significant pullback. Ray Dalio, big hedge fund investor, he's a gold bug. He thinks his dialogue, and this guy's a billionaire. His thought is that with trade decoupling that's going on, the capital markets are fragmenting. You have unsustainable U.S. debt, declining dollar dominance. He believes this idea that the dollar and the economy and our economy is going down it's not even a question. He's moved into we are going to collapse. He believes our currency will collapse. He believes our system in itself will collapse. And he's done a dramatic buy in gold with his own funds. He buys, this is one of these big guys. He bought $360 million in GLD, which is basically gold. And he's already, heavily invested in gold, physical gold. But, Dalio says that this, we've lost our supremacy. We lost our ability to kind of negotiate in this economy. And he thinks there's a big deleveraging going on. And part of it is that what he's seeing is that he's seeing what China's doing. And what China's been doing is basically when their U.S. bonds come due, they're moving that into gold. That's a big part of what they're, looking to do. And again, and then we have the downgrade, right? Like you're pulling up there. We have the Moody's rating downgrade. Our credit was downgraded. I don't think anybody was expecting that, but and that didn't even really. I mean, it hit the news, but a lot of people aren't talking about it. I mean, that's really detrimental to our economy to have our bonds, our rating, our credit dropped as a country. And it wasn't like there was something that, we had any warning of. It's just saying that, like, hey, if you're holding our debt, guess what? It's not as strong. It's not the AAA, the AA credit that you thought it was. Like, this debt's in trouble. And so there's a lot of these things happening, a lot of big investors talking about it. So these are things that people should be talking about. I mean, listen, Great Britain went through it. That's why we became the world's reserve currency. We've seen a lot of countries that have really dominated the world. And I think there's really a change in investment strategy and how people are doing things day to day. And I think your example is very clear in that in the trust in buying an item. You're like, forget it. I'm not going to pay a 38% tariff. I mean, if you just analyze that out through everyone here in the US, it's a lot of buying that just people decided not to do. They just can't afford it and they're not willing to pay it. And that's going to continue to happen until we find a permanent deal with China and some of these other countries. But that's going to reflect pretty significantly in our second quarter numbers. And I think our CPI, and I think our GDP is going to be down this quarter pretty significantly. And I think that's going to send some shock waves through the stock market.
Me too. And let's, heaven forbid, but let's say that there is something that takes place with Iran. There's been a lot of headlines lately about Iran, and President Trump even came out and said, hey, look, if something happens to me because of Iran, then it's going to be annihilation.
Yeah.
So there must be some stuff behind the scenes that they're not telling us. They're giving us little bits and pieces in the news and kind of making us aware, but it just seems like we're really close to some type of major event that could lead to global war. And if that happens, then what? Then what? I remember what happened back in 2001 after September. Like, they closed the stock market down, the markets took a huge hit. What would it be? Do you think it'd be a similar situation?
Yeah, I do. And I think, what a lot of people don't realize is that when they shut down the stock market in 2001, the gold market was still open. People were still buying physical gold. We never closed. You're buying a physical product. So this isn't tied. You don't have to wait for the stock market. You can buy this at any time. So the gold market was continuing to move. And actually, 2001, after 9/11, was when the gold market really started to wake up again. It had been dormant, I would say, since the mid 1980s. And that's where gold really started to take off. So I think there's, anytime any of these situations happen, if we're in potential war, you're going to see people moving to metals. When the Ukraine-Russian war started, metals took off. What happened with Israel and Hamas, metals took off. I mean, we've seen it. It always happens that when you see this turmoil, you'll see precious metals take off. You'll see gold and silver do really well. And I think, there's other things. I mean, not to shift too much, but, what happened to all this talk with Trump and Musk about doing the audit? What happened to the Fort Knox?
Yeah.
Everybody was talking about it. Everybody said, we're going to do this audit. And Besant basically came out and said, we did it, but no cameras. They just did an internal audit and everything's fine. Well, that's not what we want. That's not, I remember Trump saying, wouldn't that be cool if we go in there? Wouldn't that be cool, Musk said, if we can go in there with cameras and really do the first audit in basically 50 years? There was a lot of momentum. They were talking about revaluing the gold. Obviously, the gold in there hasn't been revalued for since 1973. So what happened to that conversation? And I think you and I talked about it, is like, that's what the American people want. They want to know what they have. They want to have that total transparency on what they have and what they own. They want to see these coins. They want to see these bars. So I think it's quite interesting that never happened, that the conversation kind of closed down. And it makes me think that the gold's not there, that they don't have it, because they said the audit would cost $2 to $3 million. I think $2 to $3 million in today's world to give people peace of mind would make a lot of sense. And so there's no reason, Trump hasn't come out and said why they haven't done it. No one's talked about it since. It kind of fell off the map.
Yeah.
And so I'm always curious as to why our government doesn't want to give the people the peace of mind to know that we have that gold. And it only leads me to believe that the gold's not there. And, Ron Paul has said it. A lot of politicians have said it, that they think that there's been some sell-offs since 1973, and that's why. I mean, you never hear anybody at Fort Knox. No one's came out. No one knows anything. In this day and age, when the dollar's declining, when we're in $37 trillion in debt, I mean, people need peace of mind. So either we don't have it. Even President Trump said, and he joked, he said, let's see if the gold is still there. Right. Elon Musk said, let's see if the gold's still there. I mean, these are, high, as big as we can get in the government. And they're saying, like, let's just see. And then no one talks about it ever again. So I think it's quite concerning that we never did the audit. So either we don't have it or it's leveraged, right? Maybe we sold it or we leased it. Or there's other things going on in Fort Knox that we don't know about.
Could you imagine if they released this at the same time that something like a major catastrophic, let's say a major event takes place, and then they release the fact that there's no gold or most of the gold's gone at Fort Knox? That would definitely leave some shocks in the system.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And speaking of shocks, I don't know did you hear about this coin heist, this Maple Leaf coin heist that happened?
Yeah. So I just barely heard about that, and I would love to hear more. Tell us about that.
So yeah, see, these guys went in to a museum in Berlin, and they stole the 100-kilo big Maple Leaf coin, which they only made 6 or 7 of these coins. But it's straight out of a movie. I mean, basically they went in, fooled the guards there, and they stole this unbelievable coin. And it's loosely a coin. I have a picture of it. I don't know if we'll be able to pull it up. I don't know. Do you have a picture of it, Ryan? Do you have the coin? He's got it right. No, but I have a picture of this coin. I don't know if Fairlane didn't send it. I have a picture of this coin. I saw this coin. So there's 6 of these coins, and there's one, I can't tell you where it is, but there's one coin, one of the 6 that I saw personally. This coin is the size of a car tire. I mean, it's massive. And it took them 2 years to make these coins each, and they had to be made by hand because the coin is so pure. It's like 0.99999 purity. And it's an unbelievable thing. And I have actually a picture of it. Hopefully we'll be able to pull it up here, but I have a picture of the coin, and then I compare it to a 1-ounce gold coin. And you have this huge coin, and it's 100 kilos of gold. So you're looking at, it's probably worth $8-9 million today in terms of value. So it's not easy to move a coin like this. So basically what they did is they realized there were some security flaws at this place. They used a ladder, they stashed it, they broke a window, and it doesn't sound like they did anything that exotic. They were able to see some of the marks of them leaving. But these guys, 3 guys were able to walk away with a, $8 to $10 million coin, depending, there's some numismatic value there, but just gold content, you're looking at least above $8 million for this coin. Unbelievable heist. And they'll never be found because they either will sell it on the black market, someone will buy it, or they will, they'll melt it down. They'll melt it down and nobody will find it either. So it's, as much as the security, and everybody talks about security nowadays, it's quite unbelievable that these 3 guys can walk into a museum and walk out with an $8 million gold coin. I mean, it's just like straight out of the movies, right, Rex?
Oh man, yeah. So first of all, folks, I just got back from a Jason Bourne film. At least it seemed like that in Tennessee. Not really, but it certainly seemed like that, especially some of the stuff I was telling Colin off air. But now this is like another movie heist, but in real life. I mean, So wild. I think this is one of the coins. This is it, isn't it? Right here.
Yeah, that's it. But it looks small there, but it's massive. It's an unbelievable The person the coin that I saw, they had it stored in a private depository. And in essence, the Royal Canadian Mint stored them for many years for you if you bought it from them. And then after a few years, they said, you got to come pick this coin up. So whoever owned this one that got stolen in Germany, it could have been the government of the German government or maybe a private investor. But they do these with these specialty coins. They'll take them from museum to museum to show them off. And hopefully he had some kind of insurance on this coin. But yeah, it's this coin will never be found. It'll be off, somewhere. And that's the thing with gold. It's so easy to move anywhere. And now this investor, the insurance company, this museum are going to be on the hook for an $8 million loss.
Yeah. And you know what, Colin, these comments are great about the coin. You should read them. Charlie Badhand says, agents of the reptilian overlords stole the giant gold coin. And then this is a good question from Jesse. Actually, he has a channel called BP Earthwatch. It's a really big channel. They have a huge following over there. He's asking the question, and this is a great question, Jesse. Does Noble Gold hold their gold at Fort Knox?
We do not hold our gold at Fort Knox. Great question. No, we ship gold to clients all over the country. However, some clients do want to have it stored. So we have depository in Texas, Delaware, and Canada. And it's all segregated storage, which means everyone's coins or bars are held separately. So you're not like in a big vault with everybody else. It's all insured by Lloyd's of London, full replacement cost. And we've never had any losses at the facility. We take storage very seriously. It's a big part of our business, but we only offer segregated storage because, listen, these things are easy to steal, easy to move, and so we have to make sure that we protect our clients. I'm actually planning a trip out to Texas in the next few months to do an audit. But yeah, ultimately, it's very there's different ways to store, but the way we've been doing it for the past 10 years is segregated and insured, and it seemed to turn out pretty well so far for clients. So,
right on. Yeah, I mean, I even had my mother-in-law asking because she's concerned about the markets, and she's got, a decent retirement built up, and she said, "Hey, do you think that I should get into precious metals?" And I said, "Absolutely." I said, "You need to call Colin at Noble Gold Investments because they know what they're doing. They're a reputable company. I've been friends with Colin now for like 8 years." And they're definitely the people that I trust. I've bought gold and silver from you guys, but I just wanted to also mention, folks, like if something does happen to the U.S. dollar, let's say nothing major happens to the U.S. dollar. But if you look at the U.S. dollar over every 6-7 years, doesn't it lose about half of its value over 6 years?
Yeah, approximately. Yeah. I mean, and everybody could tell because the buying power today, right? I mean, everybody knows when they go to the supermarket or they get their electricity bill, like the dollar is losing tremendous value. And, inflation, when I started in the business 16 years ago, I always used a joke that inflation was kind of the sneaky way for them to steal your money. But in the last 3 or 4 years, it hasn't been that sneaky. I think it's been really in everybody's face. How much inflation has gone up, how much the cost of goods have gone up. You feel it every day through inflation. And the government says inflation's, I think the last report was like 2.8 or 2.9%. But I think everyone that's watching this knows that it's been significantly higher in most categories. Gold's a good way. And gold this year, you're up like, about 14% this year. Over the last 2 years, we're up about 42%. So if inflation is even higher than what I said, let's say it's 5%, the government's wrong, or 6%, it's probably even closer to a more accurate number. Gold has outpaced it pretty significantly over the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. So there's also something going on with BRICS, but there's been a lot less talk with BRICS lately. Have you heard anything lately with BRICS and like the gold backing of BRICS?
Yeah, it's kind of fallen off the radar. I think with all the big tariff talk and different things that are happening out there. I see all these questions coming in. Maybe we could dive into some of these questions.
Yeah.
Would silver or gold give the best percentage of gain? it's a great question. So the last 2 years, gold has been up pretty significantly. Silver's up this year. It's up about 12%. I think, and I talk a lot about my book. I think silver is really undervalued. If you look at the charts, the gold to silver ratio is at a breaking point. It's over 100 to 1. So it costs 100 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. That's typically a breaking point in terms of the ratio. So I really like silver right now, but if you don't own any gold, you should always have gold. There's no reason you shouldn't have gold. Gold will continue to go up over time. You'll do great. But I do think a major opportunity is silver. And actually, we have a promotion we'll talk about for people that are watching this show in the next 3 hours. They can take advantage of a silver promotion that is exclusive to this show and the next 3 hours. We're doing a promotion on silver that we'll talk about at the end. But I do think that silver has a great opportunity right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And another question, this is from Useless Knowledge. Does Noble Gold lease gold?
No, we don't. Yeah, I know that people do it. I've seen it. I don't believe in it. I don't believe that you should do it. The idea about these assets is that this asset's owned by me, right? There's no one else that owns it. How few assets you own in your life that you own by yourself? You don't own stock by yourself. You don't even own your house by yourself for the most part. I mean, the government still has tax and everything. This is yours. So leasing it is in this asset is counterintuitive to the ultimate goal of owning gold and silver, is that you want to have something that doesn't have debt behind it and that you own by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I've never even heard of leasing gold. That's new to me. So is that, I guess, it's
people do it. It seems great because you can leverage, right? That's the reason that people typically get caught up into it, is like, oh, if I take $1,000 and I buy some lease gold, I can buy $10,000 in gold. But when things go the other way, when gold isn't going up and you're in a lease position, you may have to come up with more money to cover the lease. So I think that, it's a debt instrument, and the idea of buying gold and silver is to get away from debt instruments.
Right on. And Charlie Badhand says, does Noble Gold have investments in giant mining companies?
We do not. No, I don't. Because for me, I'm diversified. I have, I'm in the stock market. I'm in real estate. I'm in my own businesses. If I buy mining companies, I'm buying into the belief that this mining company is going to do great things, and maybe they are. But for me, the gold buy is the ultimate safety play. And I think, especially in this environment right now, you want to be in the safest assets you could be in. And so I don't believe that mining is. Now, for people that get into mining stocks, they can do great and you can pick them. But I want an asset that I don't have to think about too much. And gold and silver really presents that to me.
Absolutely. And I'm a major silver tart. I have gold as well. I've got more silver than gold, obviously, and I'm really looking forward to the opportunities with gold. Like you said, it's 100 to 1 right now with gold and silver, and that's
right.
Like, wow, that's pretty huge, especially with the new technologies and the amount of silver that they're going to need for these new cutting edge technologies.
Correct. Yeah, and I talk a lot about, my book is called Silver is the New Oil. It's on Amazon. If you contact us, we can get you a copy of the book also. So for anybody that wants to do, learn more about silver and all the uses that are, I think your mind will be blown in terms of how many potential uses there are for silver in today's world. But the uses continue to grow. It's still very affordable relative to the market and other precious metals. So I'm with you. I'm a big silver bug. Obviously, I got a lot of silver here. I have a lot of silver in my portfolio. So I definitely think it's the metal of the future.
Jennifer says, I've heard the rumor silver will be rare soon and may increase more than gold.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think this year's going to be a big run on silver. What other commodity can you buy that's below the price it was in 1983? There's very few things that are out there. So I love the price of silver. As I said, we do have a silver promotion that we'll talk about at the end of the stream here. But I do think if getting some silver makes a ton of sense right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So Jennifer, I think you're right. Jennifer is what I'm trying to say. Is you're right. You know what's up.
So you're not like, just because the way she worded it, people might think, oh, you mean silver's going to be worth more than gold? No, but it could increase more than gold as far as
right.
goes.
Yeah, I don't think she's saying that silver will be worth more than gold. That would be quite interesting. But I think she's just saying overall the percentage gain will be higher, and I agree with that statement. I think we're going to go on a big silver bull run here. I mean, gold's already started to move, silver's lag behind. So I think we're eventually going to see that thing really start to move here.
Now, and thank you for that. And I want everybody to, when you get done watching this, jump on over to Noble Gold on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Colin does quick updates, let you know what's going on, the latest trends on gold and silver in the markets without fluff. He just gives you the real stuff, and that'll keep you up to date. And hit the bell for all notifications. What else you got going on, Colin?
Well, let's talk about this promotion. Let's get into it. League Project Gold. So right now, our normal promotion is this 10-ounce silver flag bar. But for our promotion, Rex, for the next 3 hours, we're going to add 5 more ounces of silver. So we're going to add, it's another, $160, $170 in value minimum.
Okay.
So you could get any qualified IRA that you do with us. It must be a qualified IRA or any old 401k. You can get up to 15 ounces of free silver delivered directly to your doorstep. So you'll get the flag bar and the 5-ounce America the Beautiful, which actually is worth even more because it's a limited supply coin. So they have these, they're big. It's right here. They got this so big silver coin here. So you're going to get this for free with any qualified IRA or 401k. So what that means is you have a 401k from an old employer that you want to roll over. If you're above the age 59 and a half, you want to roll that over. Any traditional Roth, SEP IRA, if you have a TSP that's eligible, any of those things, you're going to get 15 ounces of free silver if you roll it over. All you have to do is start the process today with Noble Gold Investments. Just fill out the form, talk to one of our reps, or you can fill out the form online. And as long as you fill it out, you're going to get the 15 ounces of silver for free. So it's a pretty spectacular. We've never run a promotion like this before, but just a way to help somebody get in a little easier, get some silver in their hands, and we'll deliver it. We'll deliver that silver directly to your doorstep. So it's just a nice offering for people that watch today, people that, have an account, maybe on the fence. Just give them a little extra push to get them across the finish line.
Right on. And folks, also, when you call up Colin, Noble Gold Investments, to add to that, ask about how to get, like, it's referred to as junk silver. It's not junk silver. It's like 90% silver, the older silver coins.
Yeah.
Great way to have some silver. And then also realize, if you ever do need to exchange and something happens with the monetary system, your credit cards are down, whatever, you now have silver quarters to exchange, silver dimes, silver half dollars and stuff. It's definitely something you want to add to your portfolio. Put it in your bank, put it in your safe, bury it in the backyard. You'll thank me later on that. And I think you've got that copy, Silver is the New Oil, that you're offering with.
Absolutely. Yeah. So call us, hit the link. You can get the access to the free book, get some free silver if you get a qualified account. But overall, a lot happening in the market. I think it's a great time. Gold did have a little bit of pullback over the last 2 or 3 weeks, which is great. But we're in the midst of a bull run, a bull cycle in metals, commodities. Things are, as we talked about earlier, the economy is in a really difficult place right now. Some potential wars with Iran, a lot of things happening. So for anybody listening wants to get some information, or you just want to talk to somebody, give us a call. We're happy to give you some free information. We are a U.S.-based company. We hire people in the U.S. You're going to talk to a live person, not a bot. So it's real people working here. So Rex, as always, thank you for jumping on. Really fun today.
Thank you.
Anyone has any more questions? That's the best deal out there right now. I don't know what useless knowledge is saying, but yes, it is the best deal.
The silver that you're offering is the best deal out there right now.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's an incredible deal. So check us out, give us a call. And as always, Rex, so fun to have you on, and looking forward to the next one.
Right on. Me too, Colin. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. Have a beautiful day. Hit the bell, be well, and be the change you want to see. Awesome.